My goal here is to hit 2,000 subscribers before the month of August, so if you do enjoy today's video or any ones you might have seen here in the past, please consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. This game is played at a much different pace than I'm used to, so today we're going to learn a little bit more about neutral. And now that I've settled on a character, I'm going to play Full Moon Alco. Let's take a look at her Melty Bits page and put a real emphasis on trying to learn what to do in neutral on her. And a few reasons why I ended up picking Alco over Hime, because if you remember last video, I narrowed it down to these two, and I said in this video I'd make a decision. And the reason why is I think she's a little more simpler than Hime. Hime has the weird flight thing, which kind of turned me off from playing her, the one where she can fly around, but it drains the meter. And there's a couple of things you can do with that. There's some mix-up you can do with that. But overall, I felt like I was more interested in Alco, and her combos were a little easier. She's a little bit easier to play. She's more like a Shoto, so it's not completely foreign to me. So I thought it'd be better to play her because, one, I'm already interested in her, and two, it'd probably be a little bit easier. And that's not to say in the future I won't go back and try the other characters that I was interested in, right? We have like over a month until the next game comes out, so I could definitely see myself making videos on other characters too. So with that said, let's scroll on down to her neutral section, and you'll see here they have general combo structure. This is stuff that I've been practicing on my own, right? So I can do the ground chain, I can do the launcher, I can do the combo in the air, and I can do the ender, because the ender is usually like air throw or super if you want to burn the meter. And her air combo is a lot simpler than some of the other characters I've tried here. But what I'm really concerned with is how do I get into those combos, which is basically the art of neutral, right? Neutral is how you're getting into your combos, or how you're playing that song and dance between you and your opponent to land a hit and then do more damage, get into your combos, whatever it is. Neutral is a very abstract concept, so while guides like this are great to help you get started, the real learning phase for that comes when you're playing the game, right? And that's not just your character, right? That's any game and any character that you play. You'll learn how to play neutral. You'll learn when to block and when to move back and forth and when to walk up, when to give space, when to jump, things like that. It's a very abstract concept, and I think it is one of the most interesting things in fighting games, if not all of gaming, right? It's a very cool concept, and it's very interesting. It's what really gives fighting games the replayability, right? The replayability that you're going to queue up against another person, and every game is not going to be the same because everybody plays neutral their own way or a little bit differently. So with all that said, let's take a look at her neutral tools. One being the orbs, so she can set down a bunch of little orbs. Her well-spaced normals like jump C, jump B, 2A and 2B, as well as harassing from far with a fireball. And then I saw here underneath Essentials where it says air footsies play a vital role in Melty Blood's neutral phase. That is very new to me. That's very foreign to me, right? That's something that I started to learn when Strive came out. I played a little bit of DBFZ, which I think it might have a role in there too, but I never got very far in that game. When I was playing Strive, though, I really started to understand that in anime games or in games with air dashes and stuff, normals in the air, or I guess air neutral, is a lot more emphasized. So with that said, let's take a look at some of her jumping neutral buttons. One being jump C. This is my favorite button, right? This is the one that made me interested in the character in the first place. This is the one where like the sword comes out, right? The little lightsaber comes out. And I just thought that was really cool when I saw it, and I got interested in playing the character. This button here is Jump B, and it says that this button is good for when you and your opponent are at the same height. And then we have here 2A. This is a great spammable A attack. It hits low, has good range, and is fast at close ranges. This is your go-to move. To hit confirm, use several A attacks in a row, or if max range, you can chain into 5B. And then you can chain 5B into 2B, into 2C, into 3C, which is like the launcher. And then you can do your air combo. 5B. Wow, that's a long ass, but look how big the hitbox is. And it doesn't have a hurt box on the tip. Let's see. The Japanese wiki linked above calls it the Yakuza kick. It feels like Ryu having access to Dulcim normals, which starts a full combo. This is a basic of Full Moon Alco's power in ground engagements, because if you keep yourself positioned at its max range, the opposing characters don't have normals that can compete with this combination of speed and range. It also allows you to convert off of hits that left the opponent far away. To hit confirm, 5B start, or do 5B into 2C. This is great to know, right? The part where it says that you want to keep yourself positioned at the max range so opponents don't have normals that can compete with it, that seems to be kind of like a common theme here, right? Because with Hime, I think 2C and 5C it says the same thing on the wiki, right? You want to stay at a range where your 5C can hit and you can confirm into it, but other characters can't challenge it because it takes up so much space and it's so far. So that's a very good thing to note because it's sort of giving you a hint at what ranges you want to play at. And then after that section that we read, it starts talking about orbs and things that are way more specific to this character. So I'm going to go back and read that on my own because I want to play this character, but for the sake of trying to learn neutral as a whole for this game, let's scroll down a little bit and start looking at like pressure and stuff. So essentials. Let's see. As I mentioned already, at close range, you can spam A attacks. At far ranges, you use the chain of 5B into 2C. That's like thing where it says spamming A attacks. That also seems like a trend here because when I was playing the other Full Moon characters, playing Full Moon Seifuku Akiha, one of her combos starts with like 2 A's or something, right? So you're mashing like 2A, and once they hit, then you can continue your chain. I don't know if that's like a universal thing or if that's on most characters, but on all the characters I've tried, they have some form of that if you're playing their Full Moon variation. And then here it talks a little bit about if they're blocking your A attacks, you're +3, so you can reset pressure by dashing up 2A or doing IAD, jump B, or jump C, which are buttons that we looked at earlier, right? Or you can delay. You can do delay 2A or delay 5B, and that is something that's very common in Strive too. If you play Strive, delaying your normals in that game can blow people up, especially on characters like Ramathal. If you're doing far slash into heavy slash Gatling, you can do far slash, delay heavy slash Gatling, and you will counter hit people because they're used to you just doing it one after the other, right? So delaying things in that game and delaying things in this game, it seems like, is very good. And it's generally good in Street Fighter 2 sometimes, but I've only started to notice it in Strive in like this game. And the reason you're delaying your buttons is to catch attempts of a Abare, which I think is like when people are blocking and then they start trying to mash to get out of your block string, and then you like counter hit them, right? I just went ahead and looked it up here on the infill wiki, but Abare is attacking while you're at negative frame advantage, and normally attacking while your opponent is plus is a bad idea, since if they press their fast attack, they're going to win, but sometimes they don't press their fastest attack, and they want to stretch their advantage too far and maybe walk up and reset pressure or throw. And if you bar in these situations, you'll land some hits. So that's essentially what it means. This is something else pretty cool to note. If you're at the max range of 2A, so sometimes in training mode when I was practicing 2A into 2A, I would get too far away and then the normal ground chain wouldn't connect. So what you can do is 2A into 5B into 2B into 2C, 3C, and then you can do your air combo and your ender and everything. This is pretty important to note too. 5B into 2C into nothing. Only do this at max range because 2C is unsafe up close. So the frame advantage changes with the spacing. So you can space it to make 2C safe. Actually, maybe safe isn't the right word, but you can make it unpunishable, I guess, because of the spacing. There's a lot more nuanced things down here about the character specifically, again, that I'll read through, but let's go into anti-airing because that's something, one, that's very central, very fundamental, but two, I don't know how it works in this game. You know, I don't know. I'm assuming you can block in the air in this game like other anime games, but I want to see what like maybe the universal anti-air would be, or what this character's anti-air is at least, because I don't think it's 6P like in Guilty Gear. And she does have a DP that you can see right there. She has 623B. This is the Dragon Punch that fulfills its minimal role and nothing more. It's weak, it hits twice. It grants no reward on counter hit, but having a meterless reliable reversal is good in itself. 623C, which is the super version of the DP, is faster but it costs a meter. 623A is faster but it can only be used in situational, or as a situational anti-air. Your anti-air game, other than smart usage of D into 2360, revolves around meeting the opponent in the air instead of letting them get the jump on your head, and blocking while you force them to touch orbs you have set up. So I guess that's where the button, I think it was jump B, the little kick that says if you're at the same height to press this, or if you're above them to press C, the light sword, or maybe D too, because I think C and D kind of look the same. Jump C and D kind of look the same, but I don't really know if the frame data is different or not. I have to take a look at that later. And I think that's it. So we did skip through it a little bit. Some of the stuff was like Alco specific, and I'll learn it myself, but I didn't want to cover it in the video where we're trying to learn more about neutral more than anything. And then there's one more little section here I wanted to take a look at on the Melty Blood wiki, which is general game plan of Alco and her neutral right here, you know? So let's take a look at that. Let's just read through it a little bit, skip through it, and I'll try to summarize it. So it says, it depends on the matchup. Generally never a bad idea to test with 236A. This is the fireball. It's a pretty standard fireball. And see how they react. If they can't deal with it effectively, feel free to use 236A liberally. So that's like a theme, right, in most fighting games that you're going to pick up. If you use a tool that your character has and your opponent doesn't know how to deal with it, you should feel free to spam it, right? You should feel free to spam it to an extent, you know, or use it very liberally because they don't know how to deal with it. So abuse it, right? It's not a bad thing to use a move a lot that the opponent doesn't know what to do. Or how to counter, I guess. You can also use Fireball in tandem with 214A. I think those are the orbs. And see how they play around them. 236A is also a good tool for clipping characters out of deep jump-ins. If they seek to approach you from the air, you can dash under them. You can trip guard under. You can trip guard them with dash under 2C. Which I'm guessing if you do 2C, you might be able to do 3C and then get a like a full air combo, perhaps. You can call out jump-ins and air approaches with 5D, jump A, air-to-air. Learn the ranges of 5B and play around with it in neutral. So that is what we heard in the other wiki, right? They're consistent. So now that we know for sure, 5B is a great neutral tool, and like I said before, it's telling us that we need to play around it. So it's telling you how to space yourself, essentially. It's a 7-frame startup poke that is also even on block. So it's +0, essentially. 236C is not an auto win neutral tool, but it doesn't force the opponent to react. I don't know what 236C even is. It's like a fireball special, I'm guessing. It might shoot out a bunch of stuff. It causes them to react or they get pushed into the corner. Note from close ranges, 236C is punishable on reaction. In the event you're in max mode, so that's when your meter is filled all the way up to like 300%, 200%, whatever it is. And you need a safe way to get your health back, you can 236 ABIH. I don't know what IH means, so I'll have to figure that out in the meantime. In the air, you're somewhat limited. She has great jump-ins and jump C. That's the lightsaber, the little sword. It has a large hitbox, so you're liable to trade or straight up lose to some normals. Her jump A is okay, but from a range perspective, it's not all that great. So make sure you space it properly. Contrast her jump B is very strong, air-to-air with a slightly disjointed hitbox, and even a hitbox below her. In the air, you want to analyze whether you want to use jump A, short but actionable on whiff, or jump B, larger but more punishable. She does have 2 air dashes. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know she had 2 air dashes, allowing her to bait and punish or delay her landings. No, air dashes are short, so make sure you space them properly. A lot of spacing things to take into account here, both in the air and on the ground. You can double air dash out of the ground, which will carry your momentum. Well, F moon, so full moon, that's what we're playing. Orb gameplay might be lacking compared to other moons. She can still use them. You typically want to have jump 214 set around the head height. It talked a little bit about that on the Melty bits, right? I don't think I showed it because that was a more specific thing to this character, but it did say that on there. So you'll have jump 214 set around head height and play from there. They can also be used to delay your landing. Oh, that reminds me a little bit of Cammy's dive kick in Street Fighter, right? So if you're playing against a fireball character and they're spamming fireball, you can use dive kick to delay your landing, so you can just go over the fireballs or like hang in the air above the fireballs sometimes. If the orb is executed, jump orb is executed very quickly after air dash, Alco retains her air momentum. This is referred to as a boost orb, and another way to mix up your movement. Some characters like Laura can very easily clear orbs, in which case they may not be as useful. Okay, starts to get into a pressure down here. I will probably make a separate video on pressure when I understand the character better. This is a lot to read and a lot to practice, so I definitely want to go into training mode and work on this stuff first. Also, I want to work on hit confirming into 2A, you know, because 2A, they're very short normals and they're very fast. I'm not used to confirming into normals that are that short or fast. Anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you again soon.